Well, hello, I've got another lawsuit for you. This is from Australia. So my name is Jo and welcome to my channel. Seeing we've got a taste for lawsuits and defamation, I need to give you a little bit of background about this. So this is a lawsuit between an Australian politician who holds the title of Attorney General, and the Attorney General is sort of, I guess in some ways, he could be the most powerful man in the country. He is the person that is responsible for ensuring that every legislation that the government wants to bring adheres to laws. So he is the highest ranking, I guess, lawmaker in the country. The Attorney General is generally a lawyer who has practiced, and they ensure that the ethics and the laws are adhered to within the Parliament and the laws that they bring. And the Australian Attorney General at the moment is Christian Porter. Now he's currently on personal leave, so he's had a bit of a rough, little while. A few months ago, he announced that his marriage had broken up after it was revealed that he had been meeting with a staffer. So there was a whole scandal around that. Then there has been this historic, and it's an R allegation, that occurred when he was 16, 17 years of age. And just like a week or so ago, he came out and said that he was the person that was it has been alleged did this. He's denied it, and now he's on personal leave to go seek some help. So he has sued. He has filed a defamation suit against the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Now, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation is actually funded by the government, ironically. He is saying that they published some information that made it very clear that he was the person that was being spoken about, and that nobody would know if this wasn't published. So this is where we are at the moment. So the paperwork was filed, and we're going to go and have a look at that. And I apologise for all the stuff that's going on behind me. I live next to a share home, and with people of some disabilities, and sometimes it gets very loud. So this is a notice of filing and hearing. So this is the originating application. So this is in the Australian Federal Court. So we have nothing, no details. So it's against Christian Porter, and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation in the New South Wales Registry of the Federal Court. So important information, this is dated the 15th of the 3rd, 2021, and signed by the registrar. As required by the court's rules, this notice has been inserted as the first page of a document which has been accepted for electronic filing. It is now taken to be part of that document for the purposes of the proceeding in the court, and contains important information for all parties to that proceeding. It must be included in the document served on each of those parties. The reason for listing is shown above is descriptive and does not limit issues that might be dealt with. So that's about just the court and time. So there's been no further information there. So we've got the originating application. So we've got the applicant is Christian Porter and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and there's also a lawyer as well. So to the respondent, the applicant applies for relief set out in this application. The court will hear this application or make orders for the conduct of the proceeding at the time and place stated below, because it's not been filled in yet. Okay, and it's the lawyer. So here's the details of the claim. Now, I might also add that this is on public records. So I went to the federal court site, and it's there as a public interest document. Now, they redact anything that needs to be redacted where it's a public interest document, and they only put things that are available for the general public. So there might be stuff related to this case that we won't be able to get because we're not party to the case. But because it is a public interest case, it's about the public broadcaster and a politician. The documents are available for free, by the way. On the grounds stated in the claim, accompanying affidavit or other document prescribed as the rules, the applicant claims damages, including aggrieved damages, and ordered that the respondents remove the article and any republications of the article or any matter to the same effect from the World Wide Web within the control of the respondents or either of them, costs, entrance pursuant to sections 51 and 51A of the Federal Court of Australia Act 1976, such further orders the court seems fit. And then we've got the lawyer's stuff. It's intended to serve this on the respondent. So there's a second respondent as well, who is the reporter. So it's relating to the reporter and the ABC. We've got here that this is a notice of acting, so they've appointed a lawyer. That the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, the first respondent, and Louise Milligan, the second respondent, have appointed Grant Michael McAvaney, Australian Broadcasting Corporation, to represent the first and second respondents in the proceedings. And that's their list. So they have their own, the ABC has their own legal department. So one of their legal department people is going to do that. So again, they have to attach this sheet. This is the electronic filing sheet on all of them. So let's look at the statement of claim. I haven't looked at it myself, so we're going to see this all together. So again, you've got to have this notice of filing. This is the electronic thing. So this says it was filed and the date on it. All right. So you'll notice that this is a lot different to a lot of the stuff in other states. So it hasn't actually even been allocated a number yet. It's just been filed. So it's sitting there ready to be processed, I guess. Statement of claim. So we've got the parties. So the applicant Porter is and was at all times at relevant times, a member of the House of Representatives for the seat of Pearce in Western Australia, the leader of the House of Representatives, the Commonwealth Minister for Industrial Relations, the Commonwealth Attorney General, a senior member of Cabinet to Prime Minister Scott Morrison, and 50 years old. The first respondent, ABC, is and was at all times a corporation able to be sued, Australia's national broadcaster headquartered in Ultimo, Sydney, the publisher of the digital platform www.abc.net.au, which it makes available for publication throughout the state of New South Wales and other states and the territories of Australia and the World Wide Web, the user of the Twitter handle at ABC News, the user of Facebook accounts at ABC and at ABC News. The second respondent is and was at relevant times a journalist employed or contracted by the ABC, a reporter for the Four Corners program distributed and broadcast by the ABC, a person whom the ABC is vicariously liable in relation to her conduct as journalist and reporter, the user of the Twitter handle, Milligan Reports, and the user of Facebook account, Louise Milligan. All right. On or about February 26, 2021, and continuing thereafter, the ABC and Milligan published of and concerning Porter an article entitled Scott Morrison, Senators and AFP Told of Historic Claim Against Cabinet Minister on ABC website in the Australian Capital Territory, Northern Territory, New South Wales and other states of Australia, a copy of which is Schedule A. Particulars of publication. The ABC website is a mass media website viewed by tens of thousands of people throughout Australia daily. The article was uploaded onto the ABC website on February 26, 2021, from where it was downloaded throughout Australia in each state and territory to persons, many of whom were known to Porter. It's interesting. The article was republished on the ABC on its Twitter page on or about Friday 26, 2021. As the date of this pleading, the tweet received 95 retweets, 27 quote tweets, and 233 likes. A copy of this tweet is annexed here to and marked Schedule B. The article was republished twice by Milligan on her Twitter page on or about Friday the 26th of February 2021. As at the date of this pleading, the tweets respectively received 352 comments, 2,000 retweets, 4,100 likes and 96 comments, 670 reposts and 2,000 likes. A copy of these tweets are annexed here to and marked Schedule C. The article republished by Milligan on her Facebook page on or about February 26, 2021. As at the date of this pleading, the post received 28 comments, 16 shares, 116 likes, reactions. A copy of this post is annexed here to and marked Schedule D. Porter relies on the republications in the preceding paragraphs on the question of the extent of the publication of the article. The article was defamatory of Porter and carried the following defamatory imputations that do not differ in substance. That, wowzers, I'm just having to read of this. This is pretty graphic, so I apologise. Porter brutally a 16-year-old girl in 1998. He a 16-year-old girl in 1998. Porter's brutal of a 16-year-old girl contributed to her taking her own life. Porter is reasonably suspected by police of brutally a 16-year-old girl in 1998, warranting criminal charges being brought to him. In 2020, Porter was reasonably suspected by New South Wales police of arring a 16-year-old girl in 1998. There are reasonable grounds for suspecting Porter brutally and a 16-year-old girl. There are reasonable grounds for suspecting that Porter's brutal and of a 16-year-old girl contributed to taking her own life. Porter had so conducted himself that warranted himself to be reasonably suspected by police of brutally and a 16-year-old girl of 1998. Particulars of identification. That was pretty graphic. I apologise for that. I've actually not heard a lot of those. I've only heard some of those allegations. Wasn't really aware of. I really wasn't aware of the full allegations. I must admit, I had only just, So I apologise for that. That was whoa. Porter is a public figure with a Wikipedia entry, a Twitter handle, Christian Porter MP, a Facebook account, Christian Porter, website, and a profile on abh.gov.au. He is well known throughout Australia as the Commonwealth Attorney General and Senior Cabinet Minister to the Morrison government. Details of his personal life and history are well known to the Australian public, are accessible on the internet, and in particular are known to politicians, political operatives, public servants, journalists, and those who have personally interacted with him at school, university, and his career as a lawyer and barrister and as a politician, including the facts set out below. In 1998, Porter was 17 years old. In 1998, Porter was a champion debater and attended the World Universities Debating Championship at Sydney University as captain of the Australian Skills Debating Team. On or about the 9th of November 2020, the ABC and Milligan published a Four Corners program on the ABC television network about Porter, in which it alleged that he is sexist and misogynistic, has a history of mistreating women, has a reputation for making unwanted sexual advances, has been accused of inappropriate sexual relationship with a female ministerial staff member. On the 9th of November 2020, the ABC and Milligan published on the ABC website an article entitled "Christian Porter was warned over behaviour with young female staffer by then Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull," which accused Porter of engaging in inappropriate and unacceptable behaviour with a young female ministerial staff member. The said article, still being available for publication on the ABC website under Milligan's profile, as at the time of filing these pleadings. On the 10th of November 2020, the ABC and Milligan published on the ABC website an article entitled "Investigation Reveals History of Sexism and Inappropriate Behaviour by Attorney General Christian Porter," which accused Porter of engaging in inappropriate and sexist behaviour towards women. Said article being available for publication on the ABC website under Milligan's profile as at the time of filing this pleading. On or about the 10th of November 2020, Milligan and the ABC published statements on the program The Drum, imputing that Porter is a misogynist and a sexist. For the purpose of preparing the November Four Corners and the two articles referred to in the proceedings particulars, Milligan conducted interviews with many persons who knew Porter, during which she asked a range of personal questions about him, including his sexual preferences, whether he forced a former partner to perform sexual acts against her will. Milligan intended to include, as part of the November Four Corners allegations by women who claimed that Porter had her in 1988 at a debating competition when she was 16 and he was 17, being a person who committed suicide in or about June 2020. And that's AB. Shortly prior to her death in June 2020, AB had informed persons, including Malcolm Turnbull, Senator Penrose, Daniel Molino, MP, her friends, and other unknown to Porter, that she had allegations to make about Porter's conduct in 1988, even though the details of her allegations were not specified to each of these persons. By the time the November Four Corners was aired, a number of persons, including employees of the ABC, persons whom Milligan had spoken to about Porter, persons whom AB had communicated, and other persons unknown to Porter, were aware that some sort of sexual misconduct allegation had been made about Porter in relation to his conduct when he was about 17. On or about the 24th of February 2021, 4 members of Parliament, being the Prime Minister, Ms. Cecilia Hammond MP, Senator Penny Wong, and Senator Sarah Hanson-Young, received by postal service a 31-page document including an anonymous letter and other materials in which Porter was named and AB's allegations were set out, dossier. Porter did not receive a copy of the dossier. The Prime Minister received the dossier and understood it made allegations about Porter, but did not read it and forwarded it to the Australian Federal Police. Milligan claims to have received a copy of the dossier from friends of AB on Thursday, the 25th of January 2021. Porter was referred to throughout the article as Cabinet Minister, Senior Member of Government, and accused perpetrator's seniority. AB was referred in the article as being 50 years old. In the article, the alleged assaults were said to have taken place in Sydney in 1988, long before the accused man entered politics. At the time of publication of the article, there were 21 members of Cabinet, excluding the Prime Minister. At the time of the article, 5 of those 21 Cabinet members were female, 16 were male. At the time of the publication of the article, 6 male members of Cabinet were approximately the same age as AB in 1988. Only 3 of those were senior Cabinet ministers, including Porter. The article was promoted by the ABC and Milligan on a 6 p.m. ABC television program, causing the article to be widely read throughout Australia. On the day of, or shortly after the publication of the article, the Visit Supporters Facebook page increased significantly. On the day of, and shortly after the publication of the article, the Visit Supporters website increased significantly. On the day of, or shortly after the publication of the article, Porter was identified on social media and elsewhere on the internet as the Cabinet Minister, subject to the article. On the day of, and shortly after the publication of the article, on social media and elsewhere on the internet, members of the Australian public made the connection between the November Four Corners and the Cabinet Minister, the subject of the article. On the day of, and shortly after the publication of the article, Porter's name was trending prominently on Twitter, and did so for a number of days leading up to Wednesday, the 3rd of March 2021. On the day of, and shortly after the publication of the article, Porter was lightly named as the Cabinet Minister, the subject of the article, in the ABC and Milligan's Twitter feeds in response to their promotion of the article on those platforms. Those comments have since been deleted by the ABC and Milligan. On the day of, and shortly after publication of the article, Porter was named as the Cabinet Minister, the subject of the article in tweets that tagged Milligan used the hashtag for the Four Corners program. On the day of, and continuing from the publication of the article, media outlets, prominent figures called for a response from Porter as the Attorney General in respect to the allegations and questioned why he had not made any public comment about the process or the allegations. On the day of, and continuing from the publication of the article, a large number of attempts were made to alter Porter's Wikipedia entry compared to previous histories of changes to his entry. On Sunday, 28th of February 2021, an unknown person attempted to amend Porter's Wikipedia entry to include the fact he was in Sydney in 1988. On Monday, the 1st of March 2021, the ABC and Milligan published a further article on the ABC website entitled Friends of Women Who Accused Cabinet Minister of R Call for Inquiry into Allegations, in which friends of AB were quoted. One or more of those friends also appeared in the November Four Corners and made allegations about Porter. 1 March article. The 1 March article was deleted from Milligan's profile on the ABC website on or shortly before the 12th of March 2021, but as at the date of filing this proceeding still appears in her Twitter feed. On Tuesday, the 2nd of March 2021, the ABC broadcast the 7:30 program on the ABC television, in which a friend of AB gave an interview and referred to AB's participation in the state debating team, 7:30 story. The same friend appeared in the Four Corners program. On Tuesday, the 2nd of March 2021, Malcolm Turnbull gave an interview to the Sydney Morning Herald, in which he stated that everybody knows who the Cabinet Minister, the subject of the article was, and he and others in the media called for the Cabinet Minister to identify himself. By Wednesday, the 3rd of March 2021, Porter was obliged to identify himself as the subject of the article because of the matters set out in the preceding particulars. He did so at approximately 3:09 p.m. AEDT, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, that day. On the 8th of March 2021, the ABC broadcast an episode of Media Watch television program in which it made the following admissions. The ABC and Milligan broke the story by publication of the article on Friday, 26th of February 2021. The allegations, the subject of the article, made front page headlines in the weekend papers across Australia. By Monday, February the 28th, 2021, it is widely known in Canberra that Porter was the subject of the article. By Monday, 28th February 2021, Porter had been identified on the internet as the subject of the article. By Monday, 28th of February 2021, Porter's name was trending over Twitter. Mentions of Porter's name on Twitter increased by 500% on Saturday, 27th of February, and doubled from Sunday, the 28th of February 2021 to the 1st of March 2021, and doubled again on Tuesday, the 2nd of March 2021. By Tuesday, the 2nd of March, a tweet was published every 6 seconds naming Porter. As at the date of the filing of this pleading, the article remains on the ABC website and on the social media platforms of each of the ABC and Milligan, as set out above, where it remains available for publication throughout Australia. By reason of matters set out in the preceding particulars, Porter was identified by readers of the article as the subject of the article at the time of publication or shortly after publication. He continues to be identified by readers of the article. The names known to Porter who identified him by reasons of the matters set out in preceding particulars will be provided in correspondence shortly after filing this pleading. Further, and in alternative to preceding paragraph, by reason of Porter's identity as part of a limited class of persons, namely senior male cabinet minister, at the time of the publication of the article was defamatory of Porter and carried the following defamation imputations, or imputations that do not offer substance. And so they've just essentially repeated that, and I'm not going to repeat it again. All right, so they've just repeated the same things that they repeated before, and they were pretty yuck. All right, so essentially what he's saying is that even though he wasn't named in the article, it didn't take very long for people to work out who he was, because there's only 3 senior ministers of that age, and it was by elimination. So that's what they're saying. And then, people were working it out. By reason of the publication or republication from the ABC, this is damages, and Milligan of the article, and the grapevine effect of those publications and republications, Porter has been gravely injured in his character and reputation, and has suffered substantial hurt and distress and embarrassment, and has and will continue to suffer loss and damage. Porter's harm as a result of the publication of the article was aggravated by his knowledge of the following matters. So these are particulars of aggravated damages. So we've got damages and we've got aggravated damages. Only up to page 10. Oh. All right. So let's go. The ABC and Milligan knew that Porter would be readily identifiable as the subject of the article, and he would ultimately be compelled to respond publicly. After publishing the article that did not name Porter, Milligan republished on Twitter comments from Malcolm Turnbull, calling on the cabinet minister to identify himself. The ABC and Milligan knew that allegations by AB could never be proved in any criminal proceedings, despite that published article to harm Porter, and to ensure he was publicly condemned and disgraced in absence of any finding against him. On February 26, 2021, the ABC and Milligan promoted the article on the 6 p.m. ABC television news program to ensure that it was read by as many people as possible. The conduct of the ABC in broadcasting the 7:30 story, in which it was alleged that that AB was telling the truth. The ABC and Milligan were frustrated that they were unable to broadcast AB's allegations in the November Four Corners as they had intended, because they were indefensible, and thus disingenuously published the article without naming Porter in order to give effect to their intention to harm him. Milligan engaged in a campaign against Porter in order to harm his reputation and have him removed as Attorney General, as her continued publications about him, as set out in particulars of identification above. She further continued to defame him, including on social media, by republishing assertions to the effect of AB should be believed, AB deserves justice for the brutal R perpetrated upon her by Porter. Porter has committed criminal offences in other jurisdictions. The ABC and Milligan published the article making serious allegations of criminal conduct about Porter without any warning to Porter and without any attempt to give him the opportunity to respond, despite the fact that they were aware of AB's allegations for many months prior to the publication of the article. The ABC and Milligan selected portions of the dossier to quote in the article for the purpose of making AB's allegations appear credible as possible, when there were other significant portions of the dossier which demonstrated that allegations were not credible. Milligan did not disclose in the course of reporting on these allegations her close friendship with a friend or friends of AB, including persons who were named in the first March article and or November Four Corners. Milligan acted with malice, knowing the impossibility of finding guilt or civil liability in the circumstances and believing that a public campaign designed to damage his reputation would be more effective substitute against Porter in replacement for the process of the justice system. So that's signed, and then that's the certificate of lawyer. So here's the lawyer. Here's the article from the ABC. All right. Actually, I read that. So that was my first one. So it says there that was sent to the alleged took place in 98 and had been referred to the AFP. So then there's more. So it's just working on that. So it says that other people are aware of it. So it's saying that, and then it says here that COVID really delayed it because it was stuck to COVID because it was needed to be done in South Australia. The victim lived in South Australia. So here's the Twitter. More Twitter. Okay, Schedule D. This is her Facebook. The woman, who had long been brilliant and celebrated student at the time of the alleged incident, had prepared a long statement for her solicitor at the end of 2019. This is my story, plain and simple. It's not pretty, but it's mine, and I stand by every single word. An image in this document is true. All I really want in the end is for this to have been reported to the New South Wales Police Force, and to know a copy of this document and transcript of any interview they might do with me is in their archives. If this story does not become public knowledge, I hope it will encourage other women to come forward, not for me, but for themselves. I also hope other people who've endured similar traumas, should these facts become public knowledge, feel less alone. The words of a woman who took her life in June last year. Story by me today. And that's that one. So that's it. So this actually relates to a Big Four Corners program in November as well, when it came out about these liaisons, that alleged liaisons Porter had with a staffer, and really that was the end of his marriage. There was another minister caught up in that as well. So the ABC hasn't responded yet. I have to say I was pretty slow to the party because I didn't pick that it was, I had no idea that it was him. So that is the whole case. So it looks like there really is going in hard for the ABC. So from what I can understand, remember I'm not a lawyer, it's my interpretation. Yeah, so he's saying that the articles written and the allegations that were made in the articles were so that people knew it was him and that they were defamatory. The victim she did actually take her own life in June 2020. And there is now a big debate over whether there should be an internal inquiry or what should happen. The police has said there's no victim, and they did investigate it. There was no evidence. The ABC, actually, I've been listening to the ABC, and they've been on ABC News Radio, and they've been interviewing various people about this. And a defence lawyer in South Australia was saying, well, no, it really can't go ahead because they'd have to be tried. He'd have to be tried as a minor, and they don't disclose names of minors, and so therefore the case is prejudiced. Another lawyer in WA had said, well, there's no victim. You can't have a trial without a victim because. So there's all these debates and everything raging on at the moment. So this is how Porter has responded. Here's a lawyer. And so that's probably one of the most easiest read documents I've read in a while. So I'm going to keep an eye on this case and see what happens. There is now, I was reading in the Financial Review today, that Porter would like a judge trial, and the ABC is going for more of a jury trial. So now they've got to work out what they want to do. So now we wait for a response to that. As I said, if it is publicly available, I will grab it and I will read it. But otherwise, we'll just have to rely on news articles. But anyway, that is the court case and the statement as it was submitted. And let's have a look and see how this one plays out. So I guess I'll see you all later.